What is it with me and fixating on completely new interests every now and then? Why can't I just stick to one thing, get real good at it, and then move on to something new? I've seen other people do it, and it seems like they thrive in a less complex way. Is everyone else weird, or is this something I have to fix? More importantly, am I alone in this? Hi there, I'm Finn. Before I start rambling, this video is going to be about some of my personal musings on having multiple hobbies and my experiences regulating them throughout the years. If you've been following my channel, you'd know that I like to touch on psychology and its aspects now and this video won't be any different. Although I do have an academic background in psychology, I'm not practicing in the field and I don't have a clinical license. So take the things I say in this video as just an insight into someone else's life. It's not that deep. If you find yourself relating to whatever's in this video, then let's get some virtual hugs in the comments. We're all in this together, you know? And with that, let's get back on track. While I am slowly building my professional portfolio of creations, I've managed to collect a wide variety of interests and hobbies throughout the 20 plus years of my life. Every new interesting thing I discover, I can't help but try it out myself. I never really thought of having many hobbies as a big deal until I grew up and the new people I met wanted to get to know me, which led to me asking a lot of things about myself. I also recently revamped my portfolio links since I opened digital sketch commissions, starting from as low as $5 or 20 Malaysian ringgit, by the way. Link in the description below if you're interested. I realized I was in a sort of dilemma. Okay, I'm an artist and I want to make illustrating my main thing. But I could also offer other creative services like crochet and calligraphy and crafting and some graphic designing, maybe videography, and the list goes on. I found myself falling into a never-ending rabbit hole, forcing my daydreaming brain to finally pay attention to my actual skills and abilities. I remember learning about this one popular idiom that can kind of describe what I am, a jack of all trades. Widely used as a compliment for people who can do many different things, I felt pretty good about myself. I developed a strut in my walk and my ego at 9 years old was on a steady climb as I learned and achieved many different things, like being chosen for leadership positions in uniform societies, taking violin lessons, reading a lot of thick refrigerator-sized books, writing short stories and posting them on a personal blog, receiving yearly academic awards at school. I even had the time to manage an Adventure Time fan account that garnered a humble 600 plus followers on Instagram, which was pretty impressive considering the early 2010s internet era. Little Miss was booked and busy, that's all I can say. However, I later discovered at the fine age of 14 the longer version of the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. And I took that personally. You could say that that was the start of my lifelong identity crisis. I started wondering if whatever I'd done so far was really all that I thought it was. I realized a lot of the stuff I got into, I fell short of achieving full cultivation. I quit a lot of things due to financial awareness and little to no self-confidence. My academics started going downhill, and I eventually stopped feeling joy from my creative outlets, largely due to academic pressures and the traditional mindset of creative careers aren't real jobs. All this, mixed with puberty and the pains of growing as a lady in this day and age, can really mess your psyche up if you're not careful. I can say that I genuinely lost my sense of self during my high school days, which I so strongly had a grasp on in my primary school era, and this numbness dragged on even to my young adulthood. Yeah, I was known for being able to do this and that, but ultimately those skills were slowly being considered irrelevant for some reason. I wasn't the most outgoing type of person either, and my social circles were many but bite sized. Because of this overall detachment from my personality, my basic creative skills were left unsharpened and put in storage to collect dust. I hated the phrase. I hated it with a passion because one, it reflected what I was going through and made me feel extremely insignificant, while I knew that something about it doesn't sit right. And two, I feel it demeans the beauty and joy of discovering new things, which I absolutely love doing. I'd say my hobby was drawing, when really I had never touched my sketchbook in the last 2 years at the time. It's not out of laziness, it's more like signs of depression and anxiety now that I look back on it. I didn't understand what I was going through, honestly. I was a kid, and there was nobody to help me see what was happening. I've accumulated all these different kinds of skills, but in the end, I abandoned them for fear of I don't even know what. I'd tell myself that I was wasting time whenever I picked up a pencil to draw, for example, when really I was wasting time in not recognizing my own potential. And now, as an adult and being able to see the bigger picture, the whole phenomenon was and still is more common than I thought, which is such a tragic thing, honestly. I had accumulated this mass of self loathing and lost respect for myself, all in the name of trying to abide by the system. It took me quite a while to discover myself again. I was about 19 years old and was given a lot of time to be with my own thoughts. And with the help of the long and many pandemic lockdowns, I slowly became aware of what I'd done to myself all these past years. I had forgotten about the vivacious child who ventured into uncharted waters and didn't care for what others would say or think. I discovered something. The infamous phrase apparently had an even longer version, one that I greatly appreciate for its existence to this day. It goes like this: the jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. Now, I can't seem to find the origins of this full proverb, but I remember hearing it and going, damn! My brain did a whole factory reset, and suddenly I realized I'd been wasting my time all these years, feeling so afraid of everything, being careful of what I learned next and how I'd incorporate new skills into my future resume. I started getting angry. How dare I let myself be subservient to these foolish norms that only want to suck out my personal liveliness and make me a slave to their oppressive movement? And how dare people let me be and even encourage such appalling natures? So I relearned how to explore new things, how to have fun while still being grounded to the reality of the situation. I wiped down the dust of my old hobbies and picked up new ones. A few months ago, I had a friend ask me to list down what I did for fun. I ended up having 7 to 8 things on that list and not including the ones I planned to discover. I was genuinely surprised myself. I love learning new things. And when I learn them, I tend to hyperfixate on them for what may seem like short periods of time. But nonetheless, I go all out. Like, all out. For example, when I was 16, I suddenly had the urge to learn Western traditional and modern calligraphy, the medieval period stuff. I took a week to do some research and get some basic supplies, and for a full 30 days, I practiced without fail. I didn't go to a special course or workshop or anything. I sat down for an hour every day and imitated whatever ancient piece of literature I could find online. To give credit to my past self, I got so good at it, I started opening up shop and people commissioned me nearly every week. And still, I managed to abandon that. Insane what mental trauma can do to a kid. Anyways, despite getting back into the hobby collecting thing, one might wonder how I'm actually regulating everything on a daily basis with the art stuff, YouTube, job hunting, family stuff, personal time, etc. I'm no rich CEO of a company, okay? My typical day doesn't start at 4 a.m. with a 3-kilometer morning run. I'm the type to keep things very low key and have enough time for everything I want and need to do. Personally, I adopted this balanced life perspective where I don't go overboard in certain activities and feel like I have no time to do that other thing I wanted to do. Recently, I've been paying more attention to my personal learning patterns and how much energy I have to exert on a daily basis. I'm actively trying to learn and push my personal limits and abilities whilst also letting people know of my boundaries. Introversion runs deep in these veins, and people need to understand that. Of course, I need to be prepared for spontaneous changes, like when I get a job, for example, or some unforeseen thing alters my lifestyle or something. Honestly, I'm still figuring it all out, but boy, do I feel so alive. I actually have future prospects and visions for my art journey and overall career now. If you told my 15-year-old self that I would grow up to be so full of hope and optimism, I'd probably just laugh. In summary, if you ask me, don't let other people tell you what to do. And at the same time, don't stay in the clouds for too long. This applies to literally every age group, whether you're still in school or you're in your retirement age, or if you're like me, in the middle of it all and trying to figure life out. In the end, you are living for yourself and will return to the earth one way or another anyway. Why not see the world in a brighter point of view now and then, right? If you found this video interesting or helpful in any way, leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to hear more of my fruitful yapping. YouTube is my main platform, Kara is my illustration portfolio, and Instagram is where I post my various works in progress and announcements. If you'd like to support me further, I have a Ko-fi as well. I recently opened digital sketch commissions, so head on over there if you're interested. All links to my socials are in the description box. As I'm publishing this video on the cusp of Eid Fitri, Eid Mubarak to all Muslims out there. Ramadan has always been my personal favorite time of the year, and hopefully we get to experience and observe another one next year, inshallah. This has been Finn, and thanks for staying till the end. See you next time.